Why does who you know often matter more than what you can do in China? Why did Europe develop the concept of civil rights while China developed the unwritten rules of human obligation? This isn't a difference in philosophy, it's what happened when, 3,000 years ago, one group of people facing endless farmland and another group facing the open sea were each forced down completely different paths by the way they survived. In 1046 BC, King Wu of Zhou conquered the Shang dynasty and inherited a nearly impossible problem. A tribal army of tens of thousands had to control a vast territory stretching east to the sea and south to the Yangtze. No telegraph, no railroad, a messenger from the capital Haojing to Shandong took 2 months one way. The Duke of Zhou looked around and realized there was only one kind of person he could trust: family. This wasn't a failure of imagination. In an age without written law or bureaucratic institutions, blood was the only proven technology of trust. Your brother wouldn't easily betray you, because betraying you meant betraying his own bloodline. So he designed the Patriarchal Clan System. Land was divided among the royal Ji clan. The Son of Heaven passed his throne to the eldest legitimate son. Each feudal lord did the same, all the way down to every household. One single logic running from the top of the empire to the bottom. Who you were depended on who your father was. This design rested on an even deeper foundation: the agricultural civilization of the Yellow River Basin. Farmers don't move. A family rooted in the same soil for 10 generations weaves an ever denser web of blood ties. Villages were filled with members of the same clan, and the clan elder was the natural authority. From the smallest village to the Son of Heaven, family scaled up into state. Paternal authority scaled up into imperial power. This wasn't one man's invention, it was an order that grew organically from a way of life. At the same time, the eastern shore of the Mediterranean presented an entirely different picture. Greece was a landscape shattered by mountains and straits, with hundreds of city-states scattered across peninsulas and islands. Athens at its peak had no more than 30 or 40,000 citizens, and the city was filled with strangers from different families who had gathered there through trade. Kinship networks simply couldn't support a system of governance. The Greeks faced the sea. They dealt with strangers every day, and the value of blood ties depreciated sharply. But the most critical push came from the battlefield. In the heavy infantry phalanx, a cobbler and an aristocrat stood shoulder to shoulder, bearing the same mortal risk. A simple and powerful logic was born. If I bleed for this city, I should have a say in its decisions. So the Athenians invented the concept of the citizen. Your rights came not from your father, but from your membership in a community. Two paths diverged, not because one group was smarter, but because the soil beneath their feet and the sea before their eyes pushed them in completely different directions. The Duke of Zhou's design was too successful, so successful that even after the Zhou dynasty fell, its logic never disappeared. The first emperor of Qin abolished feudal fiefs and replaced them with centrally administered counties. But the emperor was still father of all under heaven, and officials were still called parent officials. The Han dynasty selected talent through a recommendation system, and the key criterion was whether you were filial and incorrupt. How devoted you were to your parents determined whether you could become an official. The institutional shell changed. The core logic of relationships didn't budge. The Sui and Tang dynasties invented the imperial examination, widely recognized as the world's first merit-based civil service, 1,400 years before Britain's. On the surface, it was a revolution. What mattered was your essay, not your father. But from the moment a candidate left home, the web of relationships began weaving itself anew. Fellow examinees from the same hometown traveled together. The examiner who selected you became your patron. Those who passed in the same cohort became lifelong allies. These relationships mattered far more than the score on any paper. The examination didn't dismantle the logic of relationships. It simply gave that logic a new entry point. This is the deep soil beneath China's cult of officialdom. Being an official was never just a career. It was the commanding height of an entire relationship network. A county magistrate wasn't merely an administrator, he was the central node of every relationship chain in his jurisdiction. Land disputes, tax exemptions, school admissions for someone's son, every resource flowed through this node. Power wasn't an abstract institutional mandate, it was the authority to distribute resources along the pathways of a relationship network. Walk into any business dinner in any Chinese city today, and you'll see the latest interface of this 3,000-year-old operating system. Seating announces the proximity of relationships and the hierarchy of power. The order of toasting is a precision algorithm. The height of your glass rim is a silent language. In the workplace, learning whose side to stand on becomes a required course before learning job skills. Getting things done means finding the right person, not because institutions don't exist, but because the lubricant that keeps institutions running has been relationships for 3,000 years. This isn't corruption, at least not entirely. It's a social operating system that has been running for 3 millennia. Where Westerners see hidden rules, the Chinese experience the unwritten rules of human obligation, an order older and more stubborn than any written law. Yellow soil grew relationships. The sea grew individuals. 2 paths, neither right nor wrong, but once you set foot on one, it's very hard to turn back.